Hello everyone, and welcome to my first SpyParty tutorial. I am KCM, and today I'm going to be guiding you through the Bug the Ambassador mission. So, the Ambassador is the character who begins with the briefcase and has the purple triangle over his head. The first thing you need to know about the Ambassador is that he hates he's very claustrophobic. He doesn't like to have people standing around him. And what I mean by that is he has a meter which appears at the top left of the screen. And when somebody stands too close or walks too close, that meter begins to drain. So you can see that red bar. Once it depletes entirely, he will immediately walk away. This is called personal space violation. Um, So anytime you get too close to him, that meter will fill up. If you walk away, it resets. And I believe the meter is it's somewhere around the circle around his body. So that's the best way to gauge it. Sometimes this puts him in weird positions where he will stop talking and walk away immediately, or put a statue back in a jerking animation like that. But what this means is that you can't sit around the ambassador for too long, because eventually he's just going to walk away. Alright, so now let's talk about bugging. There are two different kinds of bugs. The first is the conversation bug. In order to perform the conversation bug, you have to stand next to him in a conversation. And I'm actually going to force him away from this bookcase and into a conversation by using personal space violation, because he's not where I want him to be. Alright, so you stand next to him in a conversation, and the game will say, it will give you the option to plant bug on ambassador. By right-clicking, you'll plant the bug, and what will happen is the meter in the top left will fill up, and it'll be the top portion of the meter rather than the bottom portion. And once it's completely full, that's when the bug will take. It actually accepts the mission's completion after the bug animation is finished. So it can be a little bit jarring, especially if you're a new player who isn't really used to it. The big difference between this bug and a walking bug, which I'm going to show in about a second, is that the animation itself, the actual tell, is a lot faster, so it's much more discreet. So let me show another example of it. See how quick that is? Even though... Oops. Even though the animation finishes, I'm not given mission completion until well after the bar completes. So if I just do the animation, and when the mission completes I walk away, well, I guess that's not a good example because I kind of messed that up. If I walk away, I won't get the completion. And the same thing goes for if the ambassador walks away. So if I attempt to do it and he leaves, then I won't get the mission completion for it. So it's important to watch that bar for space invasion. It's like here, I won't get Craig because he's going to leave. So you really do need to time your bug in conversation. And it's also important to note that the radius is actually fairly wide for this. Like, you could be this far away. You can also bug if there's somebody in between the two of you, just so long as that bar fills up. So now I'm going to go over walking bugs and explain the differences between the two. When you get close enough to the ambassador that you can do a walking bug, it'll say start planting bug on ambassador. This is different than if you're in a conversation where it just says plant bug on ambassador. So that's how you could tell the two differences. If you're in conversation but too far away to do a conversation bug, it'll give you the option for a walking bug, start planting bug on ambassador. So you have to know the difference between the two. Now, when you're actually attempting to walk and bug him, it's as simple as right-clicking as you're driving by. And what actually will occur, if you watch the top left of the screen is you'll have a meter with a green dot in the middle. The green dot is the actual part of the animation that the bug will complete. So it completes right in the middle, right when your hand pretty much reaches the pinnacle point of your animation. The major differences between this bug and the conversation are that this one has a much longer animation. So the tell is larger to compensate for the fact that you can actually do it while in motion, and you have to actually be closer. Um, like here, it would look like the bug would take, but I'm just a bit too far away, even though I'm actually touching the ambassador. Um, and the difference is fairly big. Like even here, it's not taking. Well, that time it did because he moved in radius, but whereas here, I can do the conversation bug, and I'm just about the same distance away as before, and yet the bug is accepted because the radius is different between the two. So those are the two differences between a walking bug and a conversation bug, and now I'd like to show newer players what you should not do when bugging. I see a lot of new players do stuff like this. They walk up to the ambassador. Well, I gotta wait till he stops moving. And they kind of just stand by him in a weird spot like this and bug. And then they walk away. Yeah, you should never do that. And the reason is because AI, they don't do what I've done this whole game. They don't stand in the middle of the floor. AI always stand in pads. They either stand in conversation circles, or they'll stand at a pad over here at the paintings, or at the window, or at the bookshelf. But they, with very, very few exceptions, they won't just stand in the middle of the floor. So when you bug and you find yourself standing in an awkward position like this that AI don't stand in, this is very suspicious. So even if the sniper doesn't see your actual hand motion, they should know just based on behavior that you're behaving improperly. You're not standing where you should be. So to circumvent this, the best way to bug, if you want to do like a walking bug, is to find some sort of way to walk by them and bug. And that's a bit tricky because you have to time it. You have to time it really well. And I think there are much easier ways to do this. Like find a place that the ambassador is. He's at the bookshelf now. And bug as you walk next to him. So walk next to him, and as you're bugging, just right-click instantly, and then stop next to him. And this is a much more discreet thing. And because you're going to stop next to him, you don't have to time it. You could time it as late as you want, and you'll still get it. A really good example, and one of my favorite examples, is to bug as you enter conversation right next to him. And it just looks very smooth, and it feels very clean. And because you're going to walk in next to him, even if for some reason your radius is too big, so let's say I fail the bug, you're still within range to plant bug in conversation to make up for your mistake. And I think that's it's a really simple piece of advice. Like I can just do this as late as I want, and I'm still going to get mission completion. I don't have to time it specifically. I don't have to nail it perfectly, and it's very discreet as opposed to something like this. And this is something I definitely want to encourage new players to not do. Don't walk up to the ambassador, stand in a place you're not supposed to stand, and bug. Don't ever do that. That's terrible. So find some better way to approach the ambassador than that. As for advice to give to more experienced players, bugging is it's largely about pathing. It's about finding a good route to the ambassador that doesn't make you look suspicious. So if I were to do something like this, and this is a bad example. So if I were to do something like this, bug the ambassador while walking by. Yeah, let me do it successfully. Bug the ambassador while walking by, and then, go over here. That just looks awful because my character, went one direction, then turned around for no apparent reason and went a different direction. So what you want to do is look to put the ambassador between you and another objective. Walk past the ambassador, bug, on the way to a bookcase. So I had a very good reason for going in that direction. And from the sniper's point of view, if he didn't see my arm, it wouldn't look very suspicious because I was going here to grab a book. Or another, the same example really is bug on my way to grab a statue. I look very casual, like I had to go past the ambassador to get here, as opposed to specifically going out of my way to reach the ambassador. And I think that's a really important mindset to have in the game when you're trying to do this, is to always have a larger objective in mind. Always say, I'm going to walk past the ambassador and go to this painting. And, it sounds very minimal, it sounds very obvious, but a lot of players really miss this advice, and they do something kind of obvious like that, where they don't really know where they're going. They just say, I'm going to bug the ambassador, and then find out where I'm going. You want to have a destination in mind. So here I'm going to bug and go to the window. Bug, go to the window. That was a bit sloppy, but it's a lot better than the alternative. There are also a lot of other tricks with bugging. Things like getting a green banana bread right before you bug, like something like this, or bugging through another person is pretty discreet. You have to do it quick though, because if you're close enough to the ambassador to bug through another person, then there are at least 2 people violating his space, and you're guaranteed to have him move quickly. You could do something like this. You want to get a green, ideally. Gotta make sure I don't... Yeah, I can never get a green when I want to.
And the end of red.
Something like that is very possible, assuming he doesn't leave. You can also do something like return the briefcase and bug, but those are kind of gimmicks. The real trick to a successful bug is having a good location to bug in mind. Bug on your way to something else. And that's the best advice I can give to a new player, or to both new players and intermediate players. So hope this tutorial was helpful. I plan to create more in the future, so thank you for watching.